As I frequently do, I was on Facebook Marketplace looking for something. See, in my area, there's not much in the way of 3D printers for sale, and if they are, it's like an old CR10 or an Ender or some old Prusa. Nothing I would want. But I saw this one ad, and something made me click it. It had a Anycubic Cobra as the main picture, but it said 3D printers for sale, $400. Got me curious. So I clicked on the ad and switched to the next picture to see what the additional printers were, and sure enough, one of them was a P1P. It was a young lady that listed it, not far from where I live. I messaged her on Facebook and asked her some questions about the printers. She didn't know much. As a matter of fact, she really didn't know anything. Only thing she had done was looked up the retail price of these printers and was willing to accept about half. Well, after looking at the photos, I determined that the P1P was in pretty rough shape. And if I was going to take a chance on it, I really wasn't comfortable giving her more than $200 for it. After a brief conversation, we agreed and we decided to meet. When we met at the gas station, it was worse than I thought it was. The machine had clearly been sitting in an old garage or something for a while and apparently hasn't been used. It was completely dusty. On top of that, instead of using some kind of lithium grease or something like that to lube everything, it looks like they used WD-40. So there was a good mess of just liquid lubricant in the bottom of the machine. I asked her about it, what she knew about it, how many hours were on it, and she was drawing a blank. It was pretty obvious it wasn't hers. So me being an old person, I was just straight to the point and said, "So this isn't your printer?" And that's when she told me no, it wasn't her printer. It was her ex-boyfriend's. When he left all his stuff behind and she was selling it all off.
Get out of my house.
Sorry, bro. I bought your P1P. So in a moment of let's get vengeance for the young lady, I bought the P1P for $200 and put it in my van. Now when I got it home, it was in pretty rough shape. And the first order of things to do was to get it clean. Not only did I have to clean the entire frame and, well, just every surface, but isopropyl alcohol on the carbon rods and on the belts just to clean all the dust off of the belts. Because surely if I was to run it for long with all that dirt on it, probably wouldn't be good. It did have the auxiliary fan, it had a camera, and it had a hardened 0.4 nozzle. So someone put a little bit of extra money into it. With it all cleaned up and looking pretty good, I decided, well, first things first. We're going to see if it prints. I need to replace that auxiliary fan mount in the bottom. That puke green color has got to go. So I broke out the Sunlu Matte PETG and printed a new one. That came off pretty easily. Next, I decided, well, we're going to need a couple of things. I think one, we're going to need a poop tray or a poop catcher for the back. And luckily for me, Ujoy Bio sent me a couple of brand new spools of their titanium PLA. And I really like this color. It's kind of the opposite of what I did on the X1C, because the X1C is silver. I did most of its accessories in black or gray. Well, because the P1P is dark gray, I decided to do all its accessories in silver. And this Ujoy Bio titanium silver has always looked amazing when I printed it, so there was no question. After printing the poop catcher for the back, I decided, you know what else we'll do? We'll print a riser. Use the same Ujoy Bio filament to print that riser, and it came out great. I had a roll of LEDs left over from a previous build, and I went ahead and applied them in the riser and plugged them into the USB port that's in the front of the P1P. given this unit didn't have an AMS, I thought it would be a perfect candidate for putting on the Infinity Flow S1 right up top where the AMS would be. But obviously the Infinity Flow S1 is not as wide as the AMS, so I would need to create something to be able to do that. So I jumped in CAD and created a top tray to go on top of the riser that I could set the Infinity Flow S1 on. So luckily for me, and we'll do this in a different video, but the Cobra 3 Max is in full functional condition, and I went ahead and printed that piece out on it because none of the Bambu's build plates were quite wide enough to do that job. Went ahead and did that in the same UJOY biofilament, of course, that way everything matches, and it turned out great. Now, one thing it would obviously need if it has a riser is it would need the glass on top, right? I mean, obviously. But I only had one glass for my X1C. I go on Maker World and see how many points I've got, and sure enough, I've got enough points. I can go ahead and order a top glass and have it shipped to me for free. So I did that. In the process of printing a few things on the P1P, I ended up getting a nozzle clog. Now, obviously, after I checked the hours on this machine to realize that it had 3,000 hours on it, more than likely the nozzle had been replaced at some point. And the fact that it was a hardened 0.4 nozzle, that means it probably was. I don't believe they ship with a hardened nozzle. But that also means that this nozzle probably has a lot of hours on it. I made an attempt to clear the clog, but it didn't work. It was pretty hard clogged. No big deal. I grabbed one of the hot end assemblies that I have left over for my X1C to put it in the P1P just to realize they have different connectors. So that's not going to work. Luckily for me, I also just have some nozzles. So I took the factory hot end assembly apart and installed a new nozzle and put it back together and put it back in the machine, and we were back up and running. So other than the $200 out of pocket, I was able to get this machine up and running at 100%. Squeak free, noise free, prints great. It's got a riser, it's got glass, it's got a Infinity Flow S1 on top. Everything just turned out exactly as I would hope for. And luckily, I will admit, I got lucky. Now, after reaching out to UJOY Bio and asking them if they would be interested in sending some filament for this project, I decided to reach out to a couple other companies too and see if they have any kind of upgrade parts that the P1P might need. So in future videos, we're going to be doing some additional upgrades to the P1P thanks to some of our sponsors. So I guess the big question is, can you buy a P1P off of Facebook Marketplace for $200 and it be a good printer? So far, I would say yes, but I don't think the jury's in just yet. So if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. Tune in for the next video. We'll be doing more additions to the P1P. And I've got a follow-up video on my Anycubic Cobra 3 Max. You know, my previous videos, I talked about it being broke. And we're going to do a video following up on that and how it is suddenly alive again. But that's it for now. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Have a good one.